our viewers from across the globe. This is Focus on Liberia. Our topic tonight is insurance tips from the expert. My guest is Mr. Nelson Karpeh, a business owner and community leader. Nelson, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. And we are glad to have you. Thank you so much for accepting to be on the show to teach and explain to us some insurance tips. And before we get right into it, I just want to say, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for asking. Hope you are too.
All right, good. And insurance tips, let's say something brief about Mr. Nelson Karpeh. Mr. Karpeh, after he's a graduate of Renard University in 2005 with a Bachelor of Science degree in sociology, he began his career in insurance and financial services with State Farm. After working for 2 State Farm agents for a total of 4 years, Nelson successfully opened up a State Farm office in 2010, generating more than $1.3 million in premium sales within 2 years. In 2014, Nelson had the skills and experience to branch out on his own and purchase one of the largest insurance agencies in North America, which was established since 1962. Also, Mr. Karpeh has become heavily involved with the Alpharetta Rotary Club in a lot of community activities. And some of those include the Alpharetta Rotary Club, the Alpharetta Business Association, Alpharetta Chambers. And by the way, his office is in Alpharetta, Georgia. That's why you see a lot of Alpharetta. The Urban League Young Professionals, Fulton County Chamber of Commerce, and Mount Parent Church of God. Nelson believes community and business go hand in hand and is thankful to have the support of his community. He has also recently been selected for the regional board of Wellstar North Fulton Hospital. Nelson, once again, I want to say welcome to Focus on Liberia. It's our pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
I just read something brief about you, but if you can add a little more about what you do, who is Nelson Karpeh?
Well, thank you. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Liberia, came to Georgia at the age of 11 years old in 1993. And went to school in Georgia, Marietta, eventually went to Renard, like you said in my bio. When I graduated in 2005, I already had my mind set on wanting to go towards an entrepreneurship path, and specifically insurance. When I went through a process, worked a few years with those 2 State Farm agents, it gave me an opportunity to see how those individuals were able to help their communities, help their churches. And I believe that I could also do the same thing and to where I could become an asset to the people that I love and the people that I care about and want to serve. Over the past 15 years, Dennis, this is what I've done. Besides being in the industry and licensed and helping individuals and families, acquisition is something that I've really have grown to love over the past 5 years. I've gone through the process. I've started 2 insurance agencies from scratch with 0. Eventually bought one of the largest one in the country, and also on the path, Dennis, to where I am still in the process. A lot of people don't realize, but my wife is also in the industry. My wife got into the business. She has an insurance agency as well in Marietta. We're looking to expand, and she's looking to expand another agency in Marietta as well. To wrap that up, as far as from an insurance acquisition and entrepreneurship standpoint, I am also going to be launching another business, a consultant business, where I help individuals with the purchasing of insurance agencies. Since I had a great run purchasing an insurance agency, now I'm also going to establish a business for individuals who are looking to get into the insurance business or buy insurance agencies. My firm will be able to help them with that process from start to finish. So that's a little bit about
that's quite impressive. That is good. And tonight we're going to be talking about insurance. First, make our audience aware, why is this topic important? I know we have different type of insurance for tonight. We're going to be looking at auto, we're going to be looking at home, we're going to be looking at life and also business. So some may be thinking, why is this important? Help my viewers understand why this topic is very important.
The best way I can explain that, Dennis, let me share a short, quick story. Mm-hmm. We had a client who went to a Kroger to go shopping, got her groceries, got in her SUV. It's one of those little bit taller, large SUV, and she started to back up from the parking spot. Unfortunately, she hit a 3-year-old young lady, 3-year-old girl, child. $600,000 later. We're all grateful that the child was not dead, did not die, but she was badly injured. And the total medical bill was $600,000 later. That individual policy had limits that were maximum of $100,000. That individual policy, our policy paid $100,000 towards that claim, which was the max. And the family of the young baby sued her for the remaining $500,000. Some people may say, well, I don't have a lot of money. I don't have a lot of assets. So what can they sue me for? Well, in the state of Georgia, they can garnish your wages. As long as you're healthy and you're working, they can garnish your wages for the rest of your working life.
Wow.
And so the question then, Dennis, most people will say, okay, the insurance policy that individual had only had a maximum of $100,000. How much more would it have been for them to have a big, larger limits of coverage? Dennis, it would have been $17.50 extra per month.
Wow.
So the reason we're having this discussion, the reason this topic of insurance is important, sometimes it's a matter of life and death, and sometimes it's a matter of protecting your assets. And one of my motto is I protect people. I help protect families from the unexpected. I help protect them from large catastrophic events happening. So therefore, I am going to maybe encourage you to spend an extra $17 per month in order for you to not have to spend $400,000 or $500,000 in lawsuits and where your wages are garnished. So that's just a prime example that that's the best way I can explain why this is so important, because we're talking about just a few dollars. You and I both know, Dennis, we could meet up for lunch and we could spend probably $40 just for lunch right there.
Yeah.
And I'm telling people, sometimes it's just a matter of $7, $8, or $10 more can get you proper insurance in case something massive happens. I make sure you're covered and you're protected.
All right, good. And that's something that is not really discussed in our community. So, and I like the example because it lays bare why this topic is very, very important. But before we even get into our discussion tonight, I see that your bachelor is sociology. Here you're making, you're establishing, you're a successful or business owner. You are establishing and you're doing all that. I mean, sociology, insurance. How that go together?
Well, I would say I want to give you two variations. The first is, where we come from, they say hungry bear monkey eat pepper, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the same way when times are tough, you got to do what you have to do. And when I was in college, Dennis, a lot of times we come to the table, we're hungry for opportunity. A lot of people who come to this country, especially experiencing the war in Liberia, you sometimes don't have the right guidance.
Yeah.
And I specifically went into sociology because of the experience I had growing up in Liberia. I was separated from my whole family due to the Civil War for 3.5 years between the ages of 8 to 11. I specifically majored in sociology because I felt like I wanted to go back and I wanted to give. I wanted to be part of a solution based on what I experienced. As I started to finish my my bachelor's at Reinhardt University, Dennis, I got in touch with a lot of entrepreneurs who started to encourage me that I could still have the vision and passion to want to help my Liberian people, but they strongly encouraged me that going into business and developing extreme wealth would give me so much more stronger options to do more for my people. And so that's where you see the shift. But overall, nothing spoiled, like we would say. Sociology helped me where I learned a lot in how to understand my culture, to understand my people, and I believe it's very relatable in business.
So how did you get started now? Because I'm thinking before I do what you're doing, I should get a business, accounting, or finance degree or stuff like that.
Oh, no, Dennis. So thank you. That's a very good point you just brought up. To be successful in business, I believe, especially in the United States of America, having a business background, a finance background, all of those things help. I strongly encourage a person who already know they want to be on a business path. Those are great paths to go on. However, having discipline, having a strong sense of work ethic, and having passion to serve people and help people, I believe those are the real recipes. Because you can have an individual who, I hire people all the time, and I can have an individual who has a risk management degree, a master's degree in risk management from University of Georgia, and I can have hire that individual. And I could also hire an individual who maybe graduated from high school and have not gone to college or is not planning on going to college. The ability to care for people and the ability to be able to connect with people is more powerful than our risk management degree. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, some of the most successful people who work in my agency, some of them don't have college degrees, but yet they drive results and they help grow my business. And most importantly, they help protect a lot of families from the unexpected. Because to be successful in business or the insurance business, one doesn't need a college degree. I would advise anyone, definitely it's important to get a college education, but caring for people and having a drive and passion makes a difference. Janice, I would end with this. I have some people who I hire who have 4.0 GPA in college, and some of them can barely show up to work on time. There are some days I'm here at my office at 5:36 in the morning and I'm here until 8, 9 o'clock at night. There is no degree sometimes that can equate to sometimes that work ethic and that strength, having passion to succeed in business.
So how did you learn to take extra classes? Did you go to school again? What did you do?
Well, there is a process. To get an insurance license could take an individual 2 to 3 weeks of studying, and you could get one license. Another 3 weeks of studying, you could have both of your insurance license, where an individual could get started working in an agency or working for a person like myself. So the ability for an individual to work in this industry could take them 2 months of studying, and it could possibly cost them about $400 total. 2 months of studying and courses, $400 total, and individual could be working in an agency making anywhere from $50,000 to 6 figures. Now, also to clarify, the stage that I'm at requires more than 2 months of studying. That requires years of being underneath a mentor, learning the business, working in the business, and learning how to manage expenses and how to market. Running this type of business is more than just selling insurance, Dennis. What I do is I kind of lead people. And so the stage I'm at, I spend a lot of time developing ideas on how to market, how to train, how to develop, how to motivate. And one of my passion and my mission in business, I think that's very clear for me to state my mission in business and my personal mission on earth. Very few of us have come to a point, Dennis, where we really, really know why we're on earth. Mm-hmm. I was blessed at a young age where I was able to figure that out. And my number one mission on earth is to help develop as many entrepreneurs as possible. And
Good.
I've had some success hiring people to work with me. I developed them, and I pretty much help them open up their own business.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. Our guest is Mr. Nelson Karpeh. He's a business owner and also a community leader. Our topic tonight is insurance tips from the expert. Indeed, Mr. Karpeh is an expert in the area. We want to listen to him. So let's get this going and let's go into insurance. Let's start with auto insurance. What are some of the tips?
Well, here's the first common misunderstanding. Most people will call an insurance agency and they will say, hey, I'm calling to get a quote. I would like to get a quote on my 2016 Nissan. And then people will say, well, what do you have? They'll say, well, I have full coverage. I want full coverage. Dennis, there is no such thing as full coverage.
Really?
There are multiple variations, over thousands variations of full coverage. Full coverage is a term that people use, but what people have to understand, there are many limits within your insurance policy. So when a person says they want full coverage or they want liability, the person on the other end, the agency, the insurance agent, may be getting you the cheapest coverage, and you feel like, well, this price is much cheaper than when I call Nelson's office. How come it's cheaper when I call Geico or Progressive? And what they don't realize is Geico or Progressive are quoting that individual the lowest form of coverages. So that means if you're driving, Dennis, you call Progressive or Geico or some other company, and they get you some cheap quote, and you said, man, Nelson, these people are $40 cheaper per month. I'm going to go with them. What you may not realize is not apples for apples. You could be driving on 400, Dennis, and you could hit a doctor who's driving a Maserati, and you have $25,000 worth of coverage on your policy. You hit that doctor who makes a lot of money, who drives a Maserati. Your insurance policy is not enough to cover that doctor's medical bill or to fix the Maserati. They're going to come after you for the rest, even if it's just to garnish your wages. So one of the first things I explain to people, and my staff and I explain to people, there is more than just liability or full coverage. There are limits within. And so we will look at their coverages and see that they have the bare state minimum. We'll say, listen, we need to increase your liability limits, because if you were to hit a car and that car hits another car, 25 or 50,000 is not enough to cover hospital bills in that claim. Maybe we need to get you to 100,000 per person and 300,000 for the whole entire accident. And then the price difference may just be, I don't know, right about 15 to 20, 25 bucks difference per month. And sometimes when you work hard to build your success, your career, you do not want a lawsuit to come and start eating some of your money that you're working so hard for.
I think one of those things is like, we take chances that, oh, it's not going to happen to me.
Oh, yes, Dennis, I've been in the business 15, going on 16 years. This is all I've done since I've been out of college. And Dennis, in the profession I'm in, I get to see some of the worst situations and I hear some of the worst stories day to day. And so I really try to advise people. You know, one of the other areas of your auto policy, Dennis, comprehensive versus collision. Yeah. Majority of people you talk to have 500. And here's the reason I'm on this show today. I want to advise people and give them some tips, especially as we're going into the winter seasons. Comprehensive does not affect your insurance premium. Comprehensive are usually acts of nature or weather related. Your comprehensive deductible needs to be very low, $100 or $0. Comprehensive is if you hit a live animal. Right. If any type of falling object falls on the car, meaning hail damage, a tree branch furniture from a truck or rock hits your windshield, it may not cost $500 to repair that windshield.
Yeah.
And the price is not going to increase drastically when you change your comprehensive deductible from 500 to 100. So to all of your listeners, I'm really encouraging you all, call your insurance company and ask them, please give me the difference in my comprehensive deductible being 500 versus 100. And if it's not a huge difference, please change your comprehensive deductible to 100 because you are more likely to have comprehensive claims and it doesn't affect your record compared to having collision claim. So again, comprehensive, if your car gets stolen, that's comprehensive. If your car is vandalized, that's comprehensive. If your car catches on fire, that's comprehensive. Let me clarify something, my people. If you're driving and you're about to hit the deer and you hit the deer, or if you hit a live animal, that's comprehensive. But if you're about to hit the deer and you miss the deer and hit a tree, that's collision, and your record will go up if you have a collision claim. I'm not here to say what you should do, but if you hit the animal, that's comprehensive and it doesn't affect your record. So I just wanted to give some clarity between comprehensive and collision. Collision is simple. Collision simply means you hit an object or you hit a car or you hit a person. That's it.
And so the deductible for comprehensive is less than the deductible for collision.
The deductible for comprehensive needs to be low. Okay. But most people don't know, so they will just say my deductible is 500, 500. I have 500 for collision, 500 for comprehensive. And what I'm advising people is your collision deductible needs to be high, maybe 1,000, maybe 500. It's up to you on what you feel comfortable with. Your comprehensive deductible needs to be 100, 50, or 0. You can get the comparison. And if you call your company, you can get them to compare those limits and see what the price difference may be.
If it is low, 50, 100, or 0, how does that impact the premium you pay?
Comprehensive doesn't impact your premium greatly. So if you went from a 500 comprehensive deductible to a 100 comprehensive deductible, then you may see a $3 or $4 difference per month on your policy. Okay. But if you change, your collision deductible has a lot to do with your premium. So if you change your collision deductible from 500 to 1,000, you're going to save a lot of money.
Yeah, your premium is going to go down.
Yes, sir.
So they do these things because it is less likely for you to hit a deer than for you to hit an object or a car. Is that why?
Well, no, what we're saying is it is more likely for you to have comprehensive claims over a 10-year period. You're going to have more comprehensive claims than you're going to hit a car.
Oh, okay.
So I'd rather take a chance and have a 500 deductible for collision or even $100 deductible. I'm sorry, $1,000 deductible for collision. Because the chances that I'm going to be involved in an accident or hit something is very slim over these next 10 years, Dennis. But the chances that I'm going to have hail damage, a tree branch falls on my car, or hit an animal, or that's more likely to happen over the next 10 years, and you are going to have it more often. So therefore, you're going to file more comprehensive claims. I'd rather you pay only $100 and repair your car or replace your car than for you to have to pay $500.
That's good. And ladies and gentlemen, if you just
I need to cut you off, Dennis, just to give you into clarification. The reason when people call and most companies will just have 500, because it makes their premium lower. But yet, if you have a claim, you call me and say, man, my windshield, something just hit it. Go and get an estimate, Dennis. What the people say is, if the amount is so low, you say, but my deductible is 500. Then they say, well, I'm sorry, then you don't need to file a claim.
Yeah.
So there's more to the story when people call to get an insurance quote. It's more than just a price thing, Janice. It's about coverage and the ability to file a claim when you need to.
What are some of the other things associated? Because I had somewhere where they say full tote, you know, this, like you said, all we know is full coverage liability, right?
Yes.
What are the other things, the other subdivision, like I was talking about, or full tote? I had an accident, and what they told me, the other guy was wrong, but what they told me is you could file a claim and get paid if that person came from outside of Pennsylvania. I was in Pennsylvania at that time. Mm-hmm. So if the license is from outside of out of state, then you can sue, or those kind of things. And then they say, oh, you have limited tote, you don't have full tote. I didn't even know what they were talking about.
So what they're talking about, Dennis, I will talk about the towing, right? So you have roadside service.
Yeah.
Roadside service is about $3 or $4 every 6 months, most likely on most people's policy. Everyone needs to have roadside service on the insurance policy. So roadside service is going to cover if you lock your keys in your car, if your battery goes dead and you need a service to come and bring you new battery. Roadside is going to pay for the service, not for the battery. If your tire goes flat, you call them, they will repair your tire. Roadside on your policy will pay for the service to repair it, but they're not going to pay for the tire. If you lock your keys in your car, that's roadside service. Towing, if you're in an accident or your car breaks down and that car needs to be towed, some policies have $30 limit. Some policies have $40 limit.
T-O-R-T.
T-O-R-T in the sense of?
That's the limited tote, or that's what I was charged for.
So, well, what you're talking about, Dennis, has more to do from state to state. Okay. So most insurance are going to be pretty general across the country, but some states are going to have some coverages that are not even applicable to other states. So I will say that specific had to do with that state that you were in. And Dennis, that had more to do with the legality. That has more to do with legal and not so much insurance. So there's a fine line between insurance and legal, And so I think that was dealing more with the policies in if you wanted to sue a person because of an accident.
And that's the next thing I want to get to now before we leave auto insurance is on accident. You're involved in an accident. There are steps that you're supposed to take so that you'll be covered, right? And they are, because they say, when the car hit you, just lay down right there and somebody's going to pay, or you're going to sue, or this thing's going to happen. Talk to me and my viewers about, in case of accidents, what are some of the things that we need to be aware of, or the things that are, maybe some of them are just things that will never happen. Yeah, what are some of those things we need to be aware of during accidents related to our insurance?
Well, the first thing that you individual I would advise people to do is you first want to call the police. You want to have a police report. The second step is you want to see if you can gather the other party's information. So if you hit a person, hands down, your insurance company is going to take care of it if you're at fault. If the other party hits you, you need to call the police, file a police report, but you need to pursue and see if the other party will cooperate with you in getting you a copy of their driver's license and a copy of their insurance policy, and then the phone number for that company. Because some cases, the police report may take long, but if the person is clearly in the wrong, they will give you that policy, company, phone number, and a copy of the driver's license, and you can call that company and file a claim and have yourself taken care of within the next 2-3 days. Now, if an individual is badly hurt, first you definitely want to take pictures. You want to document as much as possible. And so when you do have a situation where a lot took place in this accident, people are hurt, you want to document, you want to see if there's witnesses, you want to gather information, you want to take pictures. So those are the top 3 things I would say: filing the police report, seeing if you can gather the other person's insurance information, meaning the policy number, the company they insure with, and the phone number to call that company. And the next step is just documenting, whether it's taking pictures, recording with your phones, any form of documentation, or if you can find a witness, all of those things really do help.
All right, thank you. I think my big takeaway, or the biggest takeaway from this, from auto insurance, is we place more emphasis on the premium. So I called Nelson, and Nelson quoted me a premium, say $120 a month. I called Geico, and Geico says $60 a month. I said, oh, you see, that's why I don't like to go to my own Liberian people, because he quoted me $120 here without even considering what is in the policy. Just talk briefly about that so that we can move on to the next one concerning premium and how we do the comparison, and we choose based on that comparison regardless of our situations.
Here's the mistake most people make. Let's think about this, Dennis. Before you came and before we did your policy, you had insurance. Everyone always says, I want to get a quote apples from what I already have. Yeah. So 20 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe a person talked to someone and they put some minimum coverage on the policy. So every single year when they get a quote, they just want apples for apples. And no one has ever explained what those coverages mean. So what I always would advise people is, if you call to get a quote, ask them to explain the coverages. And then when you get a quote from another company, you can then say, well, I would like to go apples for apples. So I would advise your viewers, especially the ones that live in Georgia, give me a call. Call me. I will educate you. That's one of the things that my team and I do. We educate people on the coverages they have. And then if you want to go and get a comparison quote of what I quote you, that is fair game. And if you call Progressive or some other company, Farm Bureau, and they're quoting you the exact same thing I'm quoting you, then the next step I would tell people, Dennis, is to get the best bang for your buck. You got to try to multi-line as best as possible. The company that you have your homeowner's insurance with, or your renter's insurance with, or your condo insurance with, is the same company you need to have your auto insurance with. If you can bundle, you will get the best deal.
And that's what multi-line is?
That's what multi-line is. So when people say, oh, my auto insurance went up, let me get a quote. No, take a look at the whole entire package. Not just, is this coverage adequate, but let's look at how much am I paying, Dennis, for insurance per year. That means that's my home insurance, my umbrella insurance, my auto insurance. If you got motorcycle, if you got boat, if you have rental property, I have my business insurance. Go ahead and let people take a look at the whole picture, because sometimes a person may get a quote from me for the autos and I may be $20 higher per month. But if they allow me to quote their home or renter's insurance and life insurance, Dennis, I may be saving them $300 per year once we look at everything combined together. So I'm encouraging people to be savvy shoppers. Don't just shop based on emotions on, oh, my home just went up, let me get a quote. No, take your time, slow the process down, look at the whole entire insurance picture. And sometimes there's a way, maybe we can find a discount to reduce your homeowner's insurance, even though your auto insurance may have gone up a little bit. After we get through doing a policy review, the price may all be the same. You're not paying any more money on an annual basis. And so I really want to encourage people, look at all of your insurance policies in one place, get a fair quote, and make sure you ask them to please educate me on these limits that you quoted me. What do these limits mean? And Dennis, you would be surprised. I challenge anyone. You call my business, you talk to anyone in my office, you would be shocked and you would say, wow, he or she is very, very savvy. They know what they're talking about. But you call some other places, you ask them, can you explain exactly what all these coverages mean? And sometimes you may feel like you're dealing with someone who just came off the street and maybe is trying this insurance business for the past month and just still trying to figure things out. Those things are very important, Dennis, especially for those who are watching who have children, you have assets, you got businesses, you're important. Your life and what you have going on is more important than saving $12 here or $12 there. Make sure you ask the right questions and ask those people to educate you and explain what those limits are on the policies that they're emailing you or they're quoting you.
All right, that's a good segue to discussing our home insurance. What does that cover and why do I need it? Especially if I own a home or I'm renting.
Well, I will start, Dennis, if it's okay, we're just going to categorize that as where you live. So we just got through talking about what you drive, right?
Yeah.
Now we're going to talk about where you live. Where you live could be an apartment. You could be renting a home or an apartment. You could own a home or a townhouse, or you could own a condo. I will start with renter's insurance. Renter's insurance is so important, and Dennis, it is so cheap. Some renter's insurance may cost people $20 per month, $14 a month, or as low as $12 per month. Renter's insurance covers your personal contents in that apartment. But here is something that most people don't realize. Some people may say, man, I just have a couch and a TV and some clothes. I don't really need renter's insurance. I would advise those individuals, you do need renter's insurance because there's another part of renter's insurance that most people don't know, which is called personal liability. So a person may say, I want 20,000 of contents coverage for my renters, but that person may also have 300,000 or 100,000 of personal liability. So Dennis, Thanksgiving is coming. Let's pretend you and I live in the same apartment complex and we next door. And let's say that I know how to fry turkey, but you don't know how to fry turkey. You start frying turkey on your deck and you end up burning your unit and part of my unit and the person underneath you. Who's going to pay for those damages? I advise people that $14 or $17 or $20 per month renter's policy, there is something on our renter's policy called personal liability. And now 100,000 or 300,000 of coverage on our renter's policy will be paid to the apartment complex or the people. So nobody have to harass you. Nobody have to sue you. Nobody have to stress you out. You have insurance and it's going to take care of something major like that because you are going to be liable for those damages.
What happens if I'm liable, I'm not able to pay?
Well, you remember how I said insurance is a fine line between insurance and legality. I'm not an attorney and I'm not going to pretend to try to give anyone any legal advice, but I will tell you, Dennis, if I was in a situation where you burn the place down and I've lost time out of work, the apartment is damaged, my furniture, my things, my assets, then I would just have to pursue an attorney to see how we can come after you to sue you, to garnish your wages, to help compensate and pay for my things. And here's the thing when it comes to garnishing people wages, right? If an individual is making $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000 per month, and if for some reason that $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000 get cut by extra $800, Dennis, $800 a month that you used to get, if you're not getting any more for the next 10 years, you're gonna feel it.
Yeah.
That's an example of even if you don't have renter's insurance, they could still come after you if they want to.
Now that's rental.
Yes, sir.
Or home, condo.
All right, so I will tackle condo. Condo is next. Condo is where most people make the biggest mistake, Dennis, because most condos have condos association and the condo association have a master policy. The master policy only covers the exterior of that condo. It requires you to have your own personal insurance, which covers the walls within the condo. So like your hardwood floors, your kitchen cabinets, your countertops, all of that interior part of the condo, you're responsible for, but most people don't realize that. They just usually think that, well, the association have insurance, I don't need to get it. The association have insurance, but the association insurance is strictly for building the condo, the exterior structure of the condo. You are still going to be responsible for the interior. Most people don't know that.
No. It happens to me on auto insurance that I took it to say, well, your, how do you call it? Because I took a protection on my light, on my engine. And they say, oh, well, that plan covers the interior and not the exterior. I'm like, are you kidding me?
So that was like a warranty, or that was probably like a warranty plan?
Yeah, warranty. Say that warranty covers the exterior. Why would you have an insurance that covers the interior and not the exterior, or vice versa? Why would anybody do that?
Yeah, and you see, here's the thing with a condo, it's not mandatory that you have condo insurance, right? So Dennis, a lot of people who have car insurance with me, when my staff and I call them and they, call in to check in, see how you're doing. By the way, we just want to let you know, we know you have a condo, you have your car insurance with us, Mr. Ja, but we really need to make sure you have your condo insurance. What do you think most people say, Dennis, when it's not really required? Most people will say, oh, it's okay, I'm all right, I don't need it. The association covers it. And they always think...
I will often say, depending on what I'm going to pay.
Well, yes. So one may say it's not mandatory, so I don't need it. Some may say, okay, well, what is the coverage? I mean, what is the price? How much do I have to pay? And again, it's one of those things where, some people say, man, I have this insurance. I've never had to use it. I'm spending all this money.
Yeah.
But that's what insurance is for when you have that accident, you pray and you hope that you had insurance. So that's condo in a nutshell. People need condo insurance, and they need to make sure they have proper coverage because they're responsible for the walls with inside. Even though the association have a master policy, the master policy is not going to rebuild the interior of your condo.
Right. So that insurance for the interior, meaning if you have a damage, something got burned, or what are some of the instances where you're going to file a claim for that insurance? What may happen?
All right, let's say you have a pipe burst in the water, have a small little flood, or the hardwood floors, or you're cooking and then you're cooking tabagi, and the tabagi just catch the whole kitchen on fire. And they count the cabinets and everything. I mean, the walls. And so what people don't understand, if you have a fire in the kitchen, Dennis, even if the wall didn't get damaged,
that's smoke.
It's scent.
Yeah.
You almost have to have a contractor to come in and put new drywall in. So those are all just two little examples of where a person is going to have to be responsible for the walls within.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, my guest is Mr. Nelson Karpeh, and we are discussing insurance, all the tips and all the things we need to know about our auto insurance, our home insurance, life insurance, and business insurance. And I can't wait to hear about business insurance. I don't really know what that is. I don't know why I would need it, but we'll get there. Now, and if you are on Facebook watching us, please post your comments. I know, Cyrus, you are talking about life insurance. We're going to get to life pretty soon. But if there's any question that you have, please post your comments on Facebook. We also, before we go into our broadcast, we got an announcement, or I saw something on Facebook which talk about Mr. Charles Walker Bromskin. That's the Facebook front page Africa that I got, that the Opposition Liberty Party founder, Mr. Councilor Charles Walker Bromskin, has passed away. So, we've heard that he was not well for some time. So if this information is true, our hearts go out to the family. We that are at Focus on Liberia, we say to the family, have our condolence, and we pray that everything goes well. We say, Councilor Bromskin, rest in peace. So Nelson, let's go to my favorite, life. No, we didn't talk about home, or the home that we own.
So I have two simple tips when it comes to the homeowner's policy. Okay. A lot of times, the mortgage company is not going to allow you to have such low amounts. They're going to make sure you have a large enough amount to cover in case that house burns down. So most of the time, people are usually okay, prepared, and covered properly when it comes to the dwelling coverage on a home policy. But there's three few tips when it comes to homeowners policies that people need to look deeper into. These are called additional coverages. Additional coverages is not required, but it is deadly important. The first one is called backup of water and sewer, water backup. It's just, that's going to add an extra, I don't know, 15 to 30 bucks per year on your policy. That's per year. It's not expensive, but if you have a water backup and you don't have backup on your home policy, you're going to have to pay $10,000, $15,000 out of your pocket. Most people, it's not required, so most companies don't even put it. But it's wise to put backup. In my office, Dennis, if you call and get a quote, we just simply include it because we know that's the right thing to do. And so sometimes we do come across some situations where a person said, well, oh, your homeowner's quote was much higher than this other company. And I would challenge them, well, send me a copy so we can look at it apples for apples. And Dennis, most people won't even send me that because they feel like I'm just trying to sell them a high policy to make more money when I'm really just trying to advise them properly. The next area has to do with jewelry. A lot of people sometimes have engagement ring, wedding ring, expensive artifacts like jewelry. Some people have guns. Some people have silver. Some people have gold. Some people have artwork. Some people have musical instruments that are worth a lot. Those things can be insured along underneath your home policy where those things can be covered. So a person who recently got engaged, you could have your engagement ring cover as a separate line item on your home policy that even if it gets stolen or from mysterious disappearance, that can be covered on your home policy.
And how can you prove that they stole my ring? Or?
Well, you have to first file a police report.
Okay.
You file a police report, and each company have different policies that they will put you through where they will try to maybe have you search again. They will talk to the police department. And after a period of time, then if it's something you just cannot find, they will go ahead and compensate you for that ring.
Because that's sometimes that's part of the most difficult area is to file a claim and get paid for something that you've been paying for. I mean, they put you through some vigorous process that sometimes you think that you get upset that well, when I was paying my insurance, you did not put me through all this process. What's going on? So when it comes to you getting paid for what you've been paying for, what are the tips? What are the do's and don'ts?
So Dennis, you sound like you yourself, you asked me, how do you get into the insurance business? And right now you're asking the right questions, man. In fact, some of these things you're bringing up more important tips than I even have written down for this show. And one of the most important things when it comes to homeowners insurance is what you just brought up, Dennis. I advise everyone, take your camera, start in your basement, record all of the things you have in your basement, walk upstairs to the main level, go to the kitchen, from the garage to the kitchen, to the living room, to the den, record your personal belongings. Go upstairs to the room, each and every bathroom, every closet, and save that somewhere. Save it in your email, save it on iCloud. Some people, if you don't want to record, take pictures. So Dennis, when it comes to filing a claim and getting paid for a claim, especially when you have a total loss, Dennis, 2 years ago, I had a client who had $1 million home burned down to the ground. $1 million claim, big claim. And the claims representative job is not to deny a claim. The claims representative job is to get your claim out of their desk so they can move on to the next claim.
Yeah.
All the claims representative needs is documentation. The more documentation you have, the easier the process, the faster it goes for that claims representative. There is no claims representative that want to just hold on to your claim for 8 months and not pay. The only thing is they need to have documentation so they can move on, write you that check and move on to make sure you and your family are okay. So the best tips when it comes to homeowners is you got to document. Take some time to document. Most people have been living in a house for 10, 12, 15 years. They don't have a clue what the value, what the stuff they have, how much is value. You know, I have a lady who works here at my office. She has a business that she does on the side, and it's an inventory business.
Yeah.
That inventory business, she may charge you, I don't know, $200, and she would come in inventory. She would get an itemized list of everything you have in your house, and she would store it on a flash drive and back it up. So if you ever have a claim, you have some documentation, and that documentation can really help the claims department to understand what you have. They can go online and figure out what you have, how much it's worth, and that's a guiding point and a starting point in determining how much to pay.
That is very, very important. I can't wait for my for my son to do the recording right after the show, to record everything that is in the house. So that because these are things, sometimes some of these recordings come, or maybe if you were doing something and you record it in the living room or something.
Absolutely.
It's very, very difficult to take the time to go from outside, from the basement to the garage, and then go from room to room and do a thorough recording. That's even good for your own records. Even if nothing happens, 10 years down the road, you want to look back and see how things were like.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So that's very. There's a question here. Cyrus Eastman said, I would like to know which insurance in Liberia. Do you have an office in Liberia? If somebody, do you have an office there? Can you cover anything in Liberia? Can you?
So
what is the best you can do?
Well, as of right now, I do not have a business. I do not have an insurance business in Liberia. So one of the things, you know, I get asked that question all the time. Why don't you open up a business in Liberia? An insurance business in Liberia. What people have to understand is, one, it takes a lot of money to establish these types of businesses. Two, you have to be in a climate where insurance and law goes hand in hand. The reason, Dennis, people have car insurance because the law says if you don't have car insurance, you will be fined.
Yeah.
The reason people have homeowners insurance is because the law said, by law, if you want a mortgage, you have to have insurance on that mortgage before the closing. So those two have nothing to do with me and the fact that I'm selling people. It has to do with the fact that people call me and they need it by law so they don't get in trouble. Yeah. So if you don't have a country, if you don't have a government that enforces these laws, it's kind of hard for a person to have a business where there is no law to guide that that business can be effective and profitable.
So you are not in Liberia, but what will you advise? Because what Eastman is saying is he's sharing this show with people in Liberia. So what will you advise people in Liberia concerning insurance? I don't know if you know whether if anything exists there, whether it's there or not.
No, there are insurance companies in Liberia. There are insurance companies there. There are auto insurance companies in Liberia. There's home insurance companies in Liberia, and there are life insurance companies. And if for some reason, my best advice to the individual, to be very direct, I will start outside of Liberia. There are insurance companies in West Africa that insure in the region. And so when it comes to life insurance or auto insurance, you can do some research and find there are some countries, some companies in West Africa that may have more laws and bylaws and structure that you can ensure that your insurance will be legit. There are also insurance companies in Liberia. Dennis, I just am not well informed about those companies. So I don't have much to say other than my advice is just go online, do some research. There are some insurance companies in West Africa. That may be a start. Start wide and then eventually bring it in, and you may eventually find that there are some companies in Liberia that can insure you.
You know, what you say about it is very important. And That's always has been an argument when it comes to Liberia, because nobody within their own goodwill. I mean, like even taxes, I think on one of my show, we're talking about people should pay taxes. Nobody wants to pay taxes. So if it is left with our own free will, who's going to pay taxes? Nobody. But what do they do when I take pay? They just yank it from there, right?
Absolutely.
Or the same thing with insurance. If it is not enforced by the law, everybody's going to take chance. Okay, so law is very important, and people should be not forced but encouraged, or they should be put in a situation where they have these things. Other than that, who doesn't like a carefree life? So I like that point. That's very important. Okay, let's go to life.
Well, and Dennis, before I go on to the life situations, going back to the announcement that you read earlier, I didn't know the family. I do not know the family by far, but I definitely just want to say, please have my sympathy to the Bromskin family, relatives, the friends, the children, the spouse. We're all Liberians, and so when something like that happens, we feel it at home and abroad. We're all affected somehow, some way. So again, we're very sorry for their loss.
Yeah, and that's the announcement. That's the one we just read on Front Page Africa, that Councillor Charles Walter Bromskin of the Liberty Party has passed away. Our hearts go out to the bereaved family, and may his soul rest in peace.
And that brings up a very sensitive topic. And, of course, our meeting were planned today before any of this news came out, but I think it's an important time to make sure to stress the importance of life insurance to families. When an individual departs this earth from a family unit, we sometimes don't realize that there's a huge vacuum.
Yeah.
Money can never replace that person. But that doesn't mean the rest of the whole entire family have to go into extreme poverty because they've lost their father or because they've lost their mother or their daughter or brother. And so I always advise people, you got to look into getting life insurance. You got to get life insurance. We do not take life insurance as serious, but it is a form of generational wealth. And there are other people in other cultures around the world who for generations to generations to generations to generations to generations have accumulated wealth. And then this is not because those societies and cultures are just so much more smarter than us or because they work harder. It is just simply because of generational wealth that has been passed down through life insurance. And so an individual who makes $60,000, $70,000 a year, the family will lose a loved one, but when you lose that person, you're also losing the income that person has been bringing in year after year after year, month after month. And if that individual is no longer around, it's a problem. And then the problem we have is sometimes we just don't take it seriously in our community, and it has to do with priority. Life insurance, Dennis, has nothing to do with it's expensive. It's very cheap. We do not put an emphasis on it. We will spend $10,000 on a graduation party.
Yeah.
We will spend $50,000, $60,000 on a wedding. We spend a lot of money on shoes, especially the men. And Dennis, I want to be very transparent and straightforward. Being in the state of Georgia, the Liberian women, the African women, the Liberian women have always done the most responsible things possible. The problem that I have in our society is the men. A lot of Liberian women call me, Mr. Karpeh, please come talk to me about life insurance. I want to get something, because the women, they tend to care more about the kids. They care more about the family. Dennis, do you know the biggest objection I get from Liberian men or African men is I don't want nobody's going to try to kill me.
Yeah.
They feel like if they get life insurance, someone is going to kill them, or someone is. And some of these guys spend so much money on shoes, on watch, on clothes, things that are not substantial to build your family or build wealth, generational wealth. And it's sad because Dennis, some of these people, I'm really talking to them about just spending $35 a month for $200,000 to $300,000 of life insurance, but they will refuse to, and their wives or their girlfriends or their fiancés or their spouses will get life insurance because they care about the children. They want to make sure that if they're not around, something is there for the children to go to college. Something is there to bury them. Something is there to pay off the mortgage. Something is there, Dennis, to help those children even start a business so that they can be in a position that's even better than where I'm at right now.
And we claim to love the children though, but we still don't take life insurance because their mom is going to kill us to take the insurance. How sad.
It is. And you know what? I've been patient. Dennis, you've been here in Georgia. And you know, over the past 5 years, we've had a lot of deaths in Georgia, especially the past 3 years.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that over the past 3 to 4 years, some of those people where we saw the death, I have been in their living rooms at the kitchen tables where I presented life insurance, and some of the price was less than $40 a month, less than $30 per month. But some of these individuals, I even took an application, Dennis. Some of them, it was just a matter of making the payments. And unfortunately, there was 3 people in the past 3 years out of the few deaths we had that I was actually in their house and I talked to them about life insurance and they didn't take it. And some of those individuals have 2, 3, 4 kids.
And community have to come around. But you mentioned 2 things when it comes to life insurance. You said generational wealth. We look at life insurance as something, you take life insurance, you have the money after you pass for the burial. And if for any reason something is left over, you use that to pay the mortgage or for the kids. Talk to me about generational wealth when it comes to life insurance.
So generational wealth, has to do with, life insurance proceeds are tax-free. You don't get taxed on life insurance money. And Dennis, if you don't mind, I'm getting my calculator here, right?
Yep.
So you look at a situation like this. True story, Dennis. I had a mom and a dad. They were 4 years away from retiring. They have 3 kids. 2 of the kids were in their late 20s. One of them was in his early 30s. Mom and dad said, listen, we want to put something in place because we're about to retire in 4 years. We want to make sure our family, our kids are taken care of. And they were mid-range family, decent incomes, nothing crazy. But they wanted to make sure that they could leave their children and their grandchildren in a better spot. Yeah. So mom and dad, I encouraged them, mom and dad, we get $1 million. We got $3 million life insurance policy on mom, $3 million life insurance policy on dad.
1, 2, 3 million.
3 million on mom, 3 million on dad.
Wow.
Mom and dad are going to pay that policy for the next 4 years until they retire. While mom and dad are paying that policy, the 3 children, I encourage them to open up an account and they're putting $100 into that account every single month, each person $100. So that account is building $300 every single month. Okay. So for the next 4 years, $300 times 12, that's $3,600. $3,600 a year times 4 years, that's $14,400 that would have been built up in that account. Yeah. Are you following?
Yeah.
So after 4 years, mom and dad have retired. They have the retirement party. Mom and dad said, I'm done. I'm not paying on this policy. If y'all want to keep this policy, then y'all can pay on it because if anything happens to us, you guys are the beneficiaries. Yeah. And the reason I encourage them 3 million on mom, 3 million on dad, the instant, call it 20 years from now, mom passed away, each of those kids are instant millionaires. Or I should say adults now, are instant millionaires.
But when you say $3 million policy, that means the premium will be $1 gazillion.
Not necessarily. So let's just say even if a person is paying $500 a month, okay? So do the math with me. If you got your cell phone out, $500 a month times 12, that's $6,000 per year, right?
Yeah.
So let's say the parents are in their, I don't know, call it early 60s or late 50s. and they end up living another 20, 25 more years. So let's take 6,000 times 20 years.
20.
That's $120,000 that an individual would have paid over those 20 years for life insurance, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you get $1 million, Dennis, are you following me? I wasn't an expert in math in college.
No, I'm a math teacher, so I don't even need a calculator. Come on, let's go.
There you say. See, people like me, I cook with wood. People like you cook with gas. There is no investment out there that you can put $120,000 in over a 20-year period and you get $1 million return.
Wow.
Dennis, this is what I do for families. I help create generational wealth. Now, Dennis, you know, my office is in Alpharetta. For the longest time, people in the community always felt like, oh, Nelson, you know, he's charging his prices too high, the company too high, and they feel like, oh, my insurance is high because I'm trying to eat the money.
Right. Because you're in an affluent community, Alpharetta, that's where I work, so I know.
Yeah, you know, Dennis, I don't have to beg these people to do $1 million, $3 million policies. These people, they appreciate, and even the ones who are not buying the $1 million policies, Dennis, they're buying the 200,000, 300,000, young couple in their 40s. They got 2 kids. They're spending less than $40 a month on life insurance, Dennis, but they are doing the responsible thing. They're doing the responsible thing. And Dennis, I have over 4,000 clients. I have one of the largest agencies in the country. And I can tell you, less than certain fraction are even Liberians. I may have maybe about 40 Liberian clients out of over 4,000.
Yeah.
At this point, Dennis, I could have been home a long time ago, right?
Right.
But the purpose of what I do here is more of a moral obligation.
Yeah.
I have a business I establish, and for whatever it's worth, okay, somebody may say, well, Nelson is doing well for himself. So then what's the reason? Why would I even care to really educate Liberians about life insurance or about having proper coverage? It's because it's a moral obligation. I'm in a profession. I've opened up several agencies. I've helped a lot of people open up agencies themselves who's worked for me. At this point, if I'm spending time to educate people in my community, it's more so because I feel like it's a calling and I have a moral obligation.
Yeah.
Every time I help someone, Dennis, here is my call. Here's what people don't understand. We all have a part to play in developing Liberia and to make Liberia great. I want to share something. If people are listening, they will understand what I'm saying. We all have to have our calling and our path in how we contribute to society. Some people will say, well, how is Nelson selling life insurance is really contributing to the success of Liberia 10, 15, 20 more years from now? So every time I meet with people like you and myself, and especially people who are in their 40s and 50s, I always make a joke and say, man, imagine, Dennis, if your grandparents met me a long time ago.
I know.
Where will you be sitting? Which beach or which island would you be sitting on right now? Because you would inherit extreme wealth, because I would have helped them put the proper life insurance in place that would have been passed down to your parents, and it would have trickled down to you and your siblings, right?
Right.
So imagine every time I meet with a Liberian and I'm in their home till 11, 12 o'clock at night, and I'm putting together an insurance policy, they're not going to benefit from it. But the generation below us, Dennis, there's going to be a lot of Liberians, young people who are 12, 13, 14-year-old, 6-year-old right now. They don't even know me, but they are going to be in a better life situations because of what I was able to do with their parents. Dennis, do you think Liberia will be in a better place the more affluent and the more millionaires that are developed from generational wealth as a result of the parents dealing with me now? Do you think Liberia will be in a better place?
Way better. Then even the noise will be there. No more protests.
By the grace of God. So right now I'm a visionary. I like to consider myself a person who I'm a visionary. I look bigger. I think bigger. Yeah. And what I'm looking at is, you know what? in my 70s and 60s, there's going to be Liberia is going to be a better place because the mindset of the people are going to be better because they have more resources. And a lot of those people will have inherited those resources because I met with their parents 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021.
And you're going to say, because I spoke on Focus on Liberia, and these were the people that benefited. Here's a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Dave just said, please speak to the issue of group life insurance. Can the likes of Lama, Eula, or Mandingo Association, Grand Jide Association, NIMBA, can those organizations come band together and have group life insurance? That's the question.
The answer is yes. I've done listen, and I'm not in any way trying to push a specific tribal organization, but I want to speak facts where facts needs to be.
Yeah. One
organization in Georgia and in the United States that I've dealt with that are extremely well organized, they're hardworking people. My father was crew. I'm a crew man.
Mm-hmm.
But UNICO is a legit organization.
That's the Nimba County. They're really grounded here.
I've never stepped foot in Nimba County.
Mm-hmm.
My mom is not from Nimba. My dad is not from Nimba. At this point in stage I'm at in life, we have to definitely be deeply rooted into our culture and into where we come from, right, Dennis?
Right.
But equally, we have to be open-minded, enough to where we are engaging with other cultures and other tribes and other people that are not the same tribes, that are not from the same place that our parents are from. And I'm just telling you, as a businessman, I've interacted with UNICO, I've interacted with them at a national level. They are well organized, and I'm making that statement because I have been on a path where we have been having some dialogue. They are organized, and the stopping point I came across was not UNICO. UNICO is going to tap into that, I believe so, and I'm still working.
How does that work?
Well, the thing is, UNICO is so organized in the sense of the database, the roll call, the people paying dues. A lot of the organizations that are trying to inquire about this, they're not at that point. They don't even have an account. So to do group life insurance, you have to have active member that you have accounts, that they're active and they've paid, and they have to be paid up. And it's not people who are in 1 month to pay, 1 month that don't pay. You don't know who's a member, who's not a member. It has to be like any other legit membership organization. So Dennis, I did come across a company that definitely can do group life insurance. There's one small problem I had, Dennis, and it had nothing to do with UNICO right now, is that specific company said we have the capacity, we can do it. But they simply choose not to. You know why?
No.
What's the reputation Liberians have?
They can go
a lot of times, a lot of these companies have dealt with organizations before in the past. And the experience have been a lot of work is done, and these companies spend a lot of money to put these group policies in place.
Yeah.
And then what ends up happening? Cancel, or sometimes say the people are not serious. And the gentleman simply told me over the phone, we can do it, but the reputation is not good, and it will be a waste of our time and money. So therefore, we're not going to do it.
But how would it look like? Meaning, let's say if UNICO has a policy, they pay. So it means every member of UNICO that passes away, that insurance is going to pay.
Well, so let's just say let me explain how this, I guess your question is, what would the structure look like?
Yeah.
The structure is very good. To qualify for life insurance, you got to be in decent health shape, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And group life insurance is so good because they don't do any health checkup.
Yeah.
It could be something as simple as in $25,000 or $30,000 coverage for every single person who's a member of that group. That national group or the big group has to pay that annual premium. And some companies may ask for the 2-3 years upfront. So if it's $30,000 for the group life insurance for the whole entire organization in the country, they're going to say, listen, we want 2 years worth of payment. Because whether you guys decide to quit or whether you decide to leave the group, the company has collected 2 years upfront.
Yeah.
It's up to UNICO or whichever organization to get payments. Now, if you're stuck on monthly dues, an organization is going to get drained of its finances. So the way the structure works is, let's say we have a small group of 10 of us, Dennis. 10 of us are part of a group life insurance, and we have to pay $400, or just call it $200 per year for our membership, and maybe another 100 is the life insurance. So $500 a year, that's my membership and my life insurance. I write a check and I pay the whole 500. You pay the full 500. The 8 other people pay the whole 500. We're on roll call. There's documentation. We're members, right?
Right.
So the organization have no problem paying the insurance company the premium. And if something happens to one of us, the company will simply pay the $30,000.
Wow.
For the bailout.
Can I be here and cover someone in Liberia? Let's say my dad is in Liberia. I'm here. Can I pay the premium for his life insurance?
Well, in order to do life insurance, people ask me that if I got $100 or $1 for every time a person asks me that I would be a millionaire, I'll be past a millionaire right now, right?
Yeah, because you're already a millionaire, I heard.
Well, no, that's not. You didn't hear that. That's a good thing, right? I thank God, because you know what, I don't mean to change the topic on you.
That's fine.
And it's the way we grew up. Our parents always taught us, "Oh, be quiet. Yeah. Sit down. Don't stand out too much. Don't be too loud."
For Jesse. So.
Well, so sometimes when you're doing well in life, when you're ascending, when you're prospering, or you have found a niche, it's good to encourage other people, because a lot of times we don't tend to find or see people who look like us or have the same skin color. We think something is so impossible, and it's not. Okay, so going back to the topic now, you cannot insure a person unless that person agrees to be insured, and that person is a permanent resident in that person. So if your dad is a permanent resident in the United States or a citizen, and your dad is here, and your dad comes and he's here for maybe 2-3 months, yes, your dad can agree to do life insurance. And if you're paying the premium and you own the policy, that's fine. But your dad still has to sign to acknowledge that you are the payer and the owner of that policy. And your dad has to go through a medical process. Yeah. Now, if your dad moves to Liberia or moves to Australia, your life insurance, I will speak for my company, Dennis, because some life insurance companies don't cover that. But my company can cover people anywhere around the world. It's just that the policy has to be taken while they are here, and they have to go through the underwriting process.
Okay. Well, time is fast spent. Before we move to business insurance, one thing I want you to cover is people tell me that you can withdraw money from your life insurance because you shouldn't wait until you are dead before you use money from your life insurance.
So that's a little bit more in-depth. There's just two categories of policies. Yeah. You have a term life insurance. Term life insurance is like you're renting an apartment. Yeah. Term life insurance, you can pay a very small amount of premium and you can get decent coverage, Dennis. But that means that policy is only going to cover you for a set time, and then that policy is done. Yeah. So you kind of have to have a game plan where you get another policy way before that policy expires. That's term life insurance. Is like renting an apartment. Whole life insurance is what you're talking about, where the premium on whole life is a lot more, Dennis, and you can grow money. So it's like you have life insurance, but it's also a little bit of a savings account. Yeah. And so that money in that savings account grows. It grows drastically. And a lot of times people can use that money. If you want to put a down payment on a car or put a down payment on a rental property, you could take the money from your life insurance policy to do it. And so we like to call that living benefits. Mm-hmm. That's for you to utilize and use while you're alive. Because when you die, your family will just get the death benefit. So whole life insurance costs more money than this, but it has more benefits. Term life insurance costs less money, but it has less benefits. It's for a set period of time. And that's the difference. And so you kind of really have to, you can go online and buy life insurance. You will be messing yourself up. Yeah. When it comes to life insurance, you really do have to speak with a professional. You got to sit down and have someone like myself really explain the difference and educate you. Then you take some time to think about what makes sense and what your budget can afford, and you make your move from there.
I think they are, I know most of your clients are not Liberians, but is there a way, or have you thought about putting some packages together specifically for Liberians? I'll give you an example. And it probably happens in, most Kru, Grebo, or Crown-speaking ethnic group, where, let's say, when you pass away, your wife is, I don't want to say reassigned, but in a way, marries your brother, right? Or someone in the family. So is it possible for that brother, who's going to be the next beneficiary, to start paying for my life insurance?
I see where you're going, Dennis. I see where you're going with this thing here.
Yeah. So the same way the kids are paying for their parents' insurance because they will benefit. So it means my cousin or my brother or my next relation who may likely inherit my wife start paying for that life insurance too.
Well, that's a creative idea that I've never thought about, Dennis.
Yeah.
But here's the challenge with that, right? I don't know how I feel about that yet, especially in a culture or group that is maybe still a new idea. Just think about this, right?
But it's an old idea in that group. It's new to the insurance company, but it's an old idea.
It's an old idea, but from a concept, if your cousin or brother is going to be the one who inherits your wife, and that cousin or brother could be paying for the insurance policy, that cousin or brother could also make sure that that policy is paid much quicker too. Your wife. So you're getting 2 for 1. You get the wife and then you get the money quick. So that's my only little fear with that that structure. It could actually make people speed some things up when they want to. So
yeah, culturally that is an abomination. You can't speed it up. Let's go to business insurance.
Okay.
Most of us have these nonprofits. Is that what you're talking about when you say business insurance? You have
no. I decided to have that on the platform simply because I know you have a wide audience.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure we don't leave people who may be people who have businesses or people who have small businesses or people who have large businesses. We don't want to leave them out of the topic. And so that's why we have that on. But that business insurance just means there's some people who have their regular 9-to-5 job, but they have a small business in the house. Right. They do a little business on the side. And that simply is, we want to make sure they understand that even though this is a side business you're doing on the side and you're doing it out of your house, you can still make sure you have proper coverage. Because here's what most people don't understand, especially for people who have business in their house. They feel that they have insurance because their house have insurance. And if something happens, their homeowner's insurance will pay for what happens that has to do with the business. Insurance companies are not in the business of just taking care of everything. They're going to take care of what they need to take care of. And so if I have a business in my house and I'm doing something and there's a damage or a fire or theft or something happens, and I call my homeowner's policy, they are not going to cover anything that has to do with business or business laptop.
Like most of our people have this tax preparation or business. So that could be a prime example.
It's a prime example, and there's a lot of coverage. A business in the home for a person who does taxes or tax company, then that business policy could be $300, $350, $400 for the whole entire year. But that's going to cover liability. In case they mess up or they do something wrong, that comes back to haunt them, that small little business policy could help cover them. But because their homeowner's policy is not going to cover them. If a person gets sued, their homeowner's policy is not going to cover them for that lawsuit of something they was doing that had to do with that business. But if they have a small little business policy, and I'm being honest, some of those policies are as cheap as $200 a year to have a little general liability coverage for your little in-house business. But the general liability could be like $500,000 worth of coverage. So if you find yourself in a really messy situation, hey, that's why you're paying business insurance for.
Yeah. Question.
Yes, sir.
From Dave Jai again. And this is a full disclosure, Dave Jai is my brother. He said, what mechanism does a country like Liberia need to put into place to have a reliable insurance system? Do we need social security numbers and organized address system?
You know, an individual, we need almost, I would say, all of the above. I mean, it's not a requirement for us to have a person's social security number to do their insurance, but driver's license, date of birth, their address is required. But to answer Mr. Jai's question, before you even get to all of those things, his question is way above my situation. It is more going back to what we said earlier. The political landscape, the economic landscape of the country, the governmental policies have to be deeply rooted and in place first. Senegal, Gambia, they have strong insurance industries because that's been part of the law for a long time. Some of these countries, Janice, you can buy a condo without having insurance on the condo. Yeah. That's just, you know, in today's day and age, you would just expect that, I don't know, you expect our leaders to be at that point where we all understand, you know, our leaders have traveled, and not just the current leaders, the leaders before them, and the ones before them, and the ones before them. They've all traveled internationally. These are all things they understand. They go to other countries, they abide by the law, they follow the rules. If you got to pay for this, to pay for it. If you got to stand in line, to stand in line. If you got to do this and do that. But when we come to Liberia, a lot of people like for Liberia to be a free for all playground, vacation playground, to just be free for all. And unfortunately, we need laws in place where insurance is a requirement, because it is just the responsible thing to do. I'm going to buy a car and I'm going to drive. You know what, Dennis, if I accidentally hit your car, the responsible thing would be for me to just have a means to fix your car. And me having insurance on my car is just the responsible thing to do. And the problem with Liberia is overall as a society, we have a hard time doing the responsible thing.
I'm just showing your office staff there.
Yes.
As we draw down, talk to me about your office. How can we reach you? You know, how can, what do these people do? And how, if people that are watching us now and they want to get in touch with you for an advice on all of these things that we have talked about, how they get in touch with you?
Well, so everyone in my business, and that's again across board, my business, my wife's business, everyone is insurance licensed. That means they can give advice, they can write a policy, they can service a policy, they can make changes on the policy. Everyone has to be licensed in order to work with our organizations. The individuals in my office, if you call, I have a main office number, and that main office number rings into anyone. And a lot of times, unless you call during lunchtime and we all just happen to be having some birthday party and you call and they go to voicemail, or we're having like a really important company meeting for like an hour where everyone is meeting, 95% of the time, if you call my office, the phone is going to ring 2 to 3 times and a live person is going to pick up the call. And that live person can interact with you. You can get their email address, you can get their direct number, and that can be your go-to person. That anytime you have a situation, you can call Nelson's office and you can say, well, can I speak to Anna? May I speak to Olivia? And that person knows exactly your situation. And, you know, we take notes. We have management systems, electronic management systems, that anytime I interact with you, even if you call tomorrow and somebody else picks up the phone, they can tell and they can see exactly what the conversation was and what exactly where we left off. So the best way to contact me, I will tell people, if you call, you can call that number 678-661-2416. Again, that number is 678-661-2416. If you want to reach me via email, it's Nelson Karpeh at allstate.com. That's NELSON SonKarpeh at Allstate.com. Those are the best means for people to reach me. And if they call, I'm not available, all they need to do is I really need to leave a message that they would like to have a call with me and schedule a time where I can call them. And my staff will put it on my calendar. Then it's a big organization. People sometimes they say, but I keep calling, I can't get you. It's because, it's a big organization. And so running 2 businesses, 3 businesses, and having 2 children below the age of 4 years old, I function by my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it's not going to happen. If it's not on my calendar, it didn't happen. So people can reach me, and if for some reason I'm not available, they can just say, listen, I need to talk to Nelson. Please make sure Nelson gives me a call. They just need to be prepared that I may call them back in 15 minutes, or it may be I call them the next day, or maybe later on in the evening. If they don't mind being called at 8, 9 o'clock, I can call them at 8, 9 o'clock. It's just that it may not be instantly because my days are planned 2, 3 days ahead of time.
Someone has asked, Sarah's Eastman says, someone just asked me if he can do it for his whole family. I think that's insurance. Has head of the home, health, and others, all in one that covers the whole family as one. Whether he can have insurance for a whole family as head, whether he's able to do that.
The answer is yes and no.
Yeah.
So I have clients, Dennis. Everyone in the family, they have life insurance, but each person have to go through the process. And that main person pays the premium for everything. So depending on how you look at it, the answer is yes, but everyone has to be able to go through the process and do the responsible thing. And the answer is also no, because if you're referring to just insuring everyone and paying a premium, you cannot insure the whole entire family without the whole entire family going through the process with me.
Well, this is a very beautiful and good, educated, informative information. The session is very, very good. I appreciate it. Before I let you go, just if I can have just a summary, and in that you can include something that we've not touched, and that will be your concluding statement.
Well, first and foremost, I want to say, this is my first time being part of the show. I've watched the show in many different topics. I appreciate what you guys are doing. You are contributing to our society, to our country here and back home. So we appreciate you doing impactful things and positive things. I enjoy, Dennis, you've met me. We've met many times. I enjoy nothing more than a progressive-minded person, regardless of their political affiliation, regardless of their tribal affiliation, where they were born, where they weren't born, or whatever the view they may think on current affairs in Liberia. A progressive-minded person, or entity, or company, or show. I appreciate what you guys are doing, and I enjoy interacting. Any opportunity to do anything with you guys, please let me know. So thank you for having me, giving me the platform to be able to speak, to be able to share. In closing, Dennis, we've gone over so much. The most important thing, as you elevate in your life, I tell people who start to do important things, or who start to accumulate assets, or who start to accumulate responsibility. And that's responsibility could just simply means I'm married and I have 2 or 3 kids. Yeah. You have accumulated a lot.
Yeah.
You need to also be properly equipped in case something happens. So Dennis, a lot of people who always talking and saying, oh, my attorney will handle this. My attorney will handle this. Well, I will call my attorney to handle this. And then you got some people who are like, we don't even have attorneys in our back pocket to just say, my attorney will handle this. I will call my attorney. Well, guess what? When you have a policy with me, Dennis, you can call my cell phone anytime. I will text you back, even if it's at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
You already paying me. That's the service you're paying for. You need to have an insurance agent in your back pocket. And that is my closing statement. The same way people value having an attorney, a financial advisor, no longer should you just depend, I'm going to go online to get the cheapest insurance. Find yourself a person that you trust, who's been in the business, who's knowledgeable, who's professional, who's ethical, and make that person your insurance agent. that can help you with all your different insurance needs. That is the best summary. And if you don't have a person, I will be willing and I'll be glad and honored if people will give me a chance and will give me a call and want to do business with me. I hope to earn your business, and I hope to be able to serve and give people input and advice. That's the best summary that I can give.
Thank you so much, Mr. Karpeh, for the time. We really, really appreciate you, and want to thank all our audience, all our viewers for watching this time. And this is very, very beautiful. I told people, I said, sometimes you insure your car, you insure everything else except your life. I mean, so that's the irony, but people do it. So sessions like this will let people know that it's very important to have an insurance policy that will cover your car, your home, or wherever you live, your business, and also your life. This is very, very important. And I can't thank you enough for the time. You want to say something?
Yeah, the last thing that I will also say to, being an entrepreneur, I always like to close when I have an interaction with another entity, another business, like Focus on Liberia. We have to constantly deposit into each other.
Yeah.
We have to constantly deposit positive things into each other. And so I'm not sure if Focus on Liberia has a non-for-profit, an organization in Liberia, a cause that you guys feel very passionate about. If you will please let me know, Dennis, I would like to make a $200 donation on your behalf. So if you guys have a orphanage in Liberia or something, $200 is not a lot of money, but that $200 sure could mean a lot to whatever organization that you guys are close to, or you may have a focus that you want to give back to. So please let me know, and you and I can figure out how that needs to be done. But that's just a prime example of how we need to deposit into each other. Imagine if we all just found ourselves doing that for each other and with each other. Liberia would be a much better place.
Definitely. The old song, the more we work together, the better it will be.
The better it will be.
Thank you so much for that donation. We definitely, someone from our organization will get in touch with you so that we can do that. We are involved in doing things like that. Very small organization. We try to do our best to impact at least one person at a time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We want to say to all our viewers, good night and God bless you. Enjoy the flute from my hometown.